Overwatch. Somehow I always come crawling back to this game no matter what. It's kind of a problem, but what can I say? I have a soft spot for the game. It was one of my first really big games I played, and really kicked off my love for video games as a whole. Of course, I've always loved video games before, but I really didn't start my huge craze until I played Overwatch, so I've always had a soft spot for the game. That's why I thought of making a video on this game, and reviewing each map. Not arcade maps though, because that's way too much, but still focusing on quick play and comp maps that's still over 25 maps to cover. So let's get into it, starting off with... Control maps are those maps where you are either in for a really good time or a really shit time. I am not a big fan of how small the space is, and while yes, all maps have some objective, I've always felt like control maps leave the least for movement. But if you get a good team comp and positioning, it's usually a pretty chill time, and I don't mind it too much. Now into specific maps. Ilios is a good map. I really like the design of the map, especially the light blue and white color palette. It's really pleasing to look at. The music is interesting where it has an upbeat tone and is a really solid theme. The map is also fun if you play any booping characters like Brig, Ashe, or the main booper of them all, Lucio. This map is a Lucio main's wet dream, and I know when they queue up, they dream of this map. Oh yeah, and Roadhog mains. The Ilios well is really fun to mess around with. That's really all I have to say on the map, as that's really all to it. It's a chill and good map to start with though. Lijiang Tower is a map where I only really like certain parts. If you don't know, control maps have different rounds, and each round has a different part of that map with 3 separate parts. Lijiang Tower has the night market, the garden, and the control center. I really don't like the control center mainly for the design. It feels boring and like, yeah, it's supposed to just be some professional building. It's not supposed to be some grand thing, but still, I really don't like it. The night market is really nice both mechanically and aesthetically. I really like the city, especially at night with all the lights, it's really pretty. The garden is also pretty good as well. I prefer the night market for the design, but gameplay wise I have always had a better time on the garden. The soundtrack is also alright, the instruments used are pretty good and fit the map, but it's not a top favorite. Overall, Lijiang Tower is a pretty decent map, not a favorite but I like it. Really don't know how to feel about Nepal. Everything about Nepal is just an eh for me. The layout of every section of Nepal is eh, alright. The aesthetic of Nepal is eh, alright. Like, it's a temple village in Nepal for Omnic monks. It accomplishes that, but I just don't really care. I don't know why I don't like it, but I just really don't. It probably doesn't help that I'm not really interested in Zenyatta or a story all that much, so I don't really have an interest in that aspect of the map as well. I'm not even a big fan of the theme either, like again, it accomplished what it's trying to do, I just don't care. Yeah, moving on. Busan is a control map where I only really like one part of the map, which is downtown Busan, but I love it so much that Busan may actually be my favorite control map. But firstly, the other parts. Sanctuary, I really don't like. I do love the design, especially the spawn buildings, but I don't know, I never really liked playing it. I think maybe because it's one of the smallest, at least to me, for the control maps. The actual area is very small with not much to go. There's 2 parts off to the side you can go, but I found I never really go that way most of the time. You're in this tight little space on the actual point. Now with Mecha Base. I like it a little more than Busan Sanctuary because it ties into the actual lore with it being, well, the Mecha Base. With the spawn rooms showing stuff like video games the team plays, or in the actual control room off the side, you can see the other mechs, which is neat. Also, there's a huge ledge you can easily boot people off if timed right. I also do like the Busan theme a lot, not a top favorite, but it is up there. But now back onto downtown Busan. The area is pretty good, the control point is a little more open with a ledge to a train you can also beat people off, which is amazing. There's also a top ledge you can go in a back area, but there's something much greater. DDR and fucking karaoke. I absolutely love the karaoke voice lines. They are the most goofiest things ever, and I'm convinced the voice actors were told to improvise the lines on the spot, and they used whatever happened. But nothing ever will come close to the beauty that is the Busan cow. Oasis is a map that exists. I feel like Oasis is just the most inoffensive map of them all. There is nothing really great about it, but nothing horrible about it either. It is the true mid-map of them all. The only notable thing I can say are the new designs from the Freaks is kind of cool, and you can die by cars, like, that's mostly it. Yeah. Same with the theme, it's alright. Anyway. Antarctic Peninsula is a map where I love the art of it, but not the actual gameplay. I don't hate the gameplay of the map, it just kinda is there for me, but I love the art. The northern lights are pretty, I've always loved the snow and Overwatch maps, it has really cool lore attached, and best of all, penguins and fishing. The theme is pretty alright as well. Overall, another alright map. Going from extremely cold to extremely hot and tropical, next is Samoa. I love tropical maps in any game, so I love this map, especially the beach in downtown. I also love on the map in the plane, the basketballs are coconuts. I thought that was a really cute change. The actual layout is pretty good too, and I usually have a good time on the map. I also love tropical themes in video games, so I like the theme a lot. Overall, really good map. I absolutely love escort maps. They are one of my favorite types of maps. I'm not 100% sure why, but my assumption is the fact that you aren't held in one place at all times. You are free to move around, and the space is much more open. Dorado is a really solid map. I love the design and layout, although once you get into the actual building, I am not a huge fan design-wise at least. Layout and mechanical are fine, but the building is just some blue-ass building. You'll notice I'm not a big fan of the interior designs on Overwatch maps, and that's because a lot of the time it's just a building. Which, yeah, that's what most of them are supposed to be, but that still doesn't mean I like it, it's still boring. I do like the starting point though on attack. It has much more color and objects that fill up the space. Overall, the map has a really pretty color palette that flows together nicely until the interior building, which honestly may be why I dislike it so much. It feels like it's very abrupt in the colors and design. Anyway, I fucking love the theme for this map. It's so good and something I genuinely listen to. It's such a nice upbeat tone and fits well with the map. Route 66 is probably my favorite map for a lot of reasons. The layout is hella nice, there's a lot of good places to flank and or hide, and a lot more room to fight with some tight areas. The overall design is really nice, especially the diner. The diner feels really filled up, even though some of the posters and other materials are reused, it still feels compact. Also, like the Rado and other escort maps, you go into a random building at the end of the route, and this one feels to make more sense. Like, it's a building with weapons, we are at a hangout of a gang who sells weapons. Makes sense. Yes, the building is still boring, but at least it makes more sense. Also, I love the lighting in Overwatch 2, it's really well done. But most of all, the theme slaps. It's so good and fits so well with the Western gang vibe, and the whip crack in the middle with the laugh, it's just perfect. Watch Point Gibraltar is, something? Like, that problem I have with a lot of interior buildings in Overwatch being bland or nothing. Yeah, that's kind of this whole map. I know this map has huge lore significance story-wise, but it's so boring to look at. And if it was of such lore significance, then why don't we see it through the map? Like, yeah, in the first attacker spawn, we see some stuff like Juno's pod, but I'd love to see more, like clearly personalized beds in that one area, or something to show that people with personalities actually live here. I could get an Overwatch 1 when basically no one lives here, then like, yeah, it is going to be boring, but people stay here now, so why not show it? Oh yeah, for layout, it's fine. Got some good spots for sniping and some tight spaces for interesting fights, but yeah, I couldn't give a shit about this map. Even the theme is boring to me. I really like Junkertown. Like, this are the few places that are full of creativity with its design, since in the universe, this is Australia but after destruction, and I love it. It's interesting to see a Fallout area in a sci-fi story like this, but makes sense especially with the new technology scene. I think that's the reason I love Route 66 and Junkertown. They kind of have a fun twist on the normal futuristic sci-fi aesthetic we see in other places. Instead, Route 66 is showing how because of the war, parts of America regressed, and now live through what's basically another Wild West and gangs everywhere to survive. In Junkertown, after literally nuclear fallout in Australia, the people are left to fend for themselves and use junk to live and create. It's very creative, and you see that in the map design itself. Buildings being held together by rusted metal and random wood scraps. The buildings look hastily done and everything is compact. Also, this gives the city a punk aesthetic, which makes sense since characters in Junkertown, or the Junker Queen herself, have a punk look to them. Overall, probably my favorite map for design and aesthetic, and second favorite overall. Oh yeah, the theme is pretty solid too. Rialto is good. It's really pretty, and I think it's captured the actual Rialto nicely. It's also just a fun map to play on overall, like, while playing, I never really complained to myself about anything on the map, like spacing or whatever. I kinda don't know what else to say about the map, and this isn't because I dislike it, I really do like it. It just feels like what I could say about the map I have said about other maps before. There's nothing really to hate about it, but I also don't have a huge amount of praise. It's just a very solid map. The theme is really nice too. Havana is kinda in the same boat as Rialto. They both are maps using the old Archives campaign we had, so maybe that's it. There's a lot more to the maps we don't see in normal gameplay. Havana is pretty design-wise, and again, gameplay is fine, like with Rialto, don't hate it, so I don't really have anything negative to say. Although there is the slight problem of the interior building where it's just kinda nothing, but honestly I don't mind it too much because there's some cool areas to fight and scope from, plus it's honestly kinda short, at least from my experience on the map. I don't have anything outwardly positive to say that wouldn't be repeating words I've already said a billion times before. I will say I really like Havana's theme way over Rialto, it's really good. But yeah, again, I like it and that's kinda it. Circuit Royale is low-key a map I always forget about, especially compared to the new ones in Overwatch 2. It's not like I don't play it a lot, I do. I just forget every time after the match that I played on the map. It's also not like I hate the design art-wise or gameplay-wise, it's just kinda there for me. I don't know if it's just because it really holds no lore, at least from my knowledge, it's just kinda there. The theme is also forgetful. Honestly, this whole map is just forgetful and I have no reason why. Honestly, copy and paste all my problems with Nepal, and that's kind of my opinions on Shambali Monastery. I do like the winter look here a bit more, but still, I am kind of sad I don't really like either Shambali or Nepal, but I just can't get myself into it for some reason. The theme though is insane, like in a good way. It has the elements of Nepal's theme and the overall religious element, but with hints of something foreboding, which fits Ramacha perfectly. I'd give credit for that. Hybrid maps are really just escort maps, but you have to capture an objective, then move to the payload. I like them too since they are really similar to escort maps anyway, and I don't mind capturing the objective first. Hollywood is probably one of my favorite hybrid maps. It's so fun going through the two set designs, one a western, another being what seems to be a sci-fi alien movie. I've never had problems with the gameplay wise either, which is obviously a plus. I also love the guy in the limo, he's funny. I think he had a name I legit cannot remember. I'm pretty sure he's anonymous though. Okay, so I looked up his name and he's Alfred Glitchbot. Love that. Theme is also hella good, and love it when the match ends, the victory team comes up as those old-timey films with Finn at the end. It's so cute. King's Row is a map I think is a lot of people's favorite, and no one really dislikes it, and that's for good reason. I feel like every time I play on the map, the gameplay feels great. Like, I generally have a fun time on this map, and a lot of people agree. I will say, I like the design, especially Big Ben, but the town is in the middle, and again, the problem of just another random inside building bores me at the end. The theme is insane though, the bell in the theme is so good. Okay, Numbani is alright. It's a futuristic city in a made-up area near Nigeria, Africa, and it does that well. The map is pretty, and the layout is pretty good, but the theme is so good. It is actually one of my favorite themes for any map in the whole game. I love it so much. The vocals in the back and the beginning build-up with some nice instruments, it just is so fucking good. I love it. I legit don't know what else to say about the actual map, so next one I guess? Okay, so Blizzard World is a weird one to me overall. Gameplay is good and nice, but so I haven't played any Blizzard games besides Overwatch. Like, while nowadays I'm big into indie games more than AAA games, I have played AAA games from different companies. I've played Nintendo, Rockstar, Riot, Activision, which I guess is now part of Blizzard, but still. But yeah, no, haven't played any Blizzard games outside of Overwatch, so overall, I really don't get much out of this map like others may do. It is nice that this map was created. I can imagine a lot of Blizzard fans did appreciate the map. I am not talking about Blizzard as a company, especially now, because I think that's too much, especially the scale. If you know, you know. But nowadays, the map lives a possible bitter taste in people's mouths. Oh yeah, theme, I don't like it, it's boring, moving on. Okay, so Midtown is the map I always mix up Circuit Royale with, but it's better though because I can actually sort of remember it, and that's mostly thanks to the fact that the payload is a fire truck with loud sirens that scare me every time I play it, and it has fine, I guess? Theme is chill and I like it. Yeah, that's it. Next one. Okay, can we all agree that Paradiso has the best payload ever? It's a big peacock float that plays music. The design overall is really gorgeous and I feel like really captures the area well. It's also nice to get more Lucio lore and see more from where he's from. It's really nice. Also, the theme is really groovy and makes me want to get up and dance, which I guess also means it fits really well with the map. push maps. I know they have a controversy in the community, but for me personally, I really don't mind them. They aren't the best, but I do enjoy some of them. Policio is probably my least favorite push map, and it's just very bland to me, both gameplay and art-wise. Like, you think the Coliseum would be cool, but nah. In-game, it's very boring, and there's not much for actual gameplay. Like, I always find myself getting bored on the map. The theme is nice, and that's it. Queen Street is pretty good. Again, I like the winter design, and I like the ice hockey in the spawn room, and yeah. It's really not that bad of a map like other maps. It's not grand, so I don't have much praise for it. The theme is kind of weird, though in a good way. I like that it's kind of different. Also has what seem to be guitars in the soundtrack, like, okay, was not expecting that. Overall, it's decent. Speranza is kind of like Oasis for me. I feel nothing towards it. It is another straight mid map for me that I really don't have much opinions on. Design's nice, I guess. The music is also mid. I really don't know what else to say, honestly. Runa Sapi is a map I also completely forget about, but I can say, for some reason, I like it. Like, yeah, do I completely forget about this map's existence? Yes. But also from what I remember, do I remember having swell times on it? Also yes. And that's kind of how my opinion goes. Has some pretty nice upbeat music as well. I absolutely despise Flashpoint. Every time I get it, I want to die a little inside. There's literally only 2 maps, so I don't have to go through much, but oh my god, I hate it so much you wouldn't believe. Or maybe you do if you've played on the maps. Oh yeah, it's basically control, but whoever claims 3 spaces first wins, which can cause the map to go on for way longer than needs to be. And you also run around onto the next point, which has me half the time walking around the map running into opponents in the middle of nowhere. Junk City may actually be the worst map ever. Funny that my second favorite map is Junkertown, but my least favorite is this one. But like, first, the layout is awful. I hate it. Why on earth is there just a big ass hole on one of the fucking objectives? God forbid you fall and you are a no mobility character like Anna, because by then you are screwed. I want to love this map because it does still have the amazing aesthetic and design from Junkertown, but I can't overlook my absolute hatred for Flashpoint. Also, the theme is so goddamn good, and that makes me hate this map even more now. God damn it. Vesta is not as bad, but it still has the problems that Flashpoint fundamentally has, but at least it's not as bad as New Junk City, and that's all I can really say. The theme is alright too. So here's the last category, Clash. It's another version of Control, but you fight over different objectives. Like, there's one in the middle, and then you have like 2 objectives on your side, and then you try and get all the objectives on the opponent's side. Yeah, it's not that complicated when you actually play, and my opinion on it is, I really don't know. I think mostly because it's still fairly new and I haven't been playing the game much. I'm still getting used to it, but I don't know, I just don't have much of an opinion. I will say some points can get annoying, especially when you're on the last objective, you're right in the opponent's spawn, but I think that's the point, and if you're doing good, it's usually not that bad. Now onto each map, which is only 2. Hanaoka is literally just Hanamura, which I know it's supposed to technically be that, but I wish it did something a little more different. Also, I'm not covering the old maps because I'm going crazy writing this video. But yeah, it really does just feel like the same, and I liked Hanamura. It was really pretty, and so was this map. But still, it didn't really do anything different, which sucks. Now, while I don't like Throne of Anubis' layout and playing it, I will say they at least did something new from Temple of Anubis, actually adding a part where you can see Anubis. It adds on to what was already there while not feeling like the exact same. Also, it's pretty sick to actually see Anubis move, I will say. Okay, so that's all the maps done. I am not super proud of this video, but this is the first ever video I've ever made, and I am really proud that I was at least able to get it done. I do plan on improving a lot, and I think I even improved throughout the video as well. I hope to make more videos on video games in general, or any other nerdy stuff. That's kinda all I have to say for now.